My mind is like an octopus. Five guys in line and there's no fuss. Three hearts, nine minds, much to discuss. Oh, what's becoming of me? My mind is like a wrecking ball. I fly head first into a wall. I find a thirst to break them all. Oh, what's becoming of me? My mind is rife with insolence, provides a fine coincidence for your defining ignorance. Oh, what's becoming of me? Of me, of me, of me, of me. My mind is like a horrible sea. My, what a crime that's unexpected of me. Wide open eyes that time eternally. Why can't you just let me be? My mind is like an octopus. Five guys at a time and there's no fuss. My life's just fine when you don't hurry us. Oh, what a travesty. I find like-minded octopi. 3, 5, or 9 might get me by. They like my style and so do I. That's my reality. Take your message of morality and spell it to me. Take what you say and throw it away. It's just the psychology of society. My fight.
Yeah, so welcome Rosie, aka Spectral Eyes, and not to be confused with Spectral Eyes, although it is as well. So anyway, yeah,
Kind of,
welcome.
yeah, sounds the same.
So, yeah, first thing, I guess, that a deliberate kind of pun that you're going for?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think part of that name came from like when I was in university doing music, I really dove into like spectral stuff, like looking at all of the frequencies and stuff and looking at spectrographs. So and but I didn't start taking on Spectralize as kind of like an artist name for like pop music until about 4 years ago. I was kind of looking for something, and then I didn't even know why at the time, but intuitively, I just felt like that really kind of stuck, and it felt like very personal to me as a name. And then I did kind of dive into that a bit more later on. But one of the thing was that like actually I'd forgotten at the time, but when I was about 4 years old, like I had to start wearing glasses, and this was like a really big deal for some reason. And I remember people were calling them my spectacles, which does sound a little bit like spectral eyes, I guess. And then when I was a bit older, like for about 4 or 5 years, I had these big glasses that had these like multicolor frames that I wore every day to school, and that was like that was kind of like part of my identity at that time. So I think like spectralize is really deep rooted as a name. And also it's about the way that I like create music. It's about like the spectrum is kind of like a metaphor for looking at all the kind of in between spots and for creativity and trying to look at the whole picture and that kind of thing. And I guess eyes for like, you know, having a vision that is doing that. So there's kind of a good synergy there, I think.
And I think it definitely works as a name if you're going to sort of try and target a bit of goth as well with the
Yeah.
sort of spectral element. But what actually inspires you to actually make music?
Oh, that's kind of a tough question, actually. Like, I mean, I just
You've
find
got
it
2 seconds to
I find it very like intrinsic. Like, it's just the meaning of music is kind of self-evident to me. Um, it's just it's probably the thing that inspires me the most in life, and like especially like as I've got older, my focus has gotten narrower. I've really kind of felt like this, like, oh, this is the thing that like I want to do. I want to create music, and like I kind of always felt like that way. Like I want to create music. But I think as time's gone on, I've also wanted to bring it back into like what's happening in the wider world and have it as like a way of like interpreting like information to people in a way that they're more receptive to because you make it sound nice. Whereas like if you were going on some kind of like political rant or something like without the music, like people might not be as receptive to that.
And what attracted you to work in a more electronic fashion? What was the appeal of
Honestly,
synthesizers and stuff? Is
to,
it the ease or is it
yeah,
just
I
a
think
love of that sound?
it's a bit of both. But honestly, I think a few years ago, I kind of found myself in a position like I was quite a big metalhead for a while, actually. At one point, I was more into metal than I was into goth, but I don't know how to play guitar, drums, or bass, and I don't know how to death growl. So I was kind of like, well, if I want to make music that I like listening to, what am I going to do? So I think then I started looking to, I would say like my vision for what I want to do with music is like kind of hard to articulate, like even to myself. So if it's like if I was trying to find people to play music with, I would find it hard to get across to them what it was that they could actually listen to see what it was that I was trying to do. So that's why I started doing it in the first place. And then I found I actually really like messing around with bleeps and bloops and making them all distorted and stuff. So I was like, I should continue doing this. Yeah.
This is a call from 2105. West End Corridor. We're barely alive. It took its toll. Your life of renown. No border patrol. Frontiers are down. Dark ages we must know. Like the ways of long ago. Why don't you turn up the heat? I am so hard on my feet. This is a call from 2105. I'm sick of it all.
Inspired by?
Mm,
And any
yeah,
artists from the
yeah.
scene in Canada that you're particularly enjoying as well right now?
I I try to keep it broad in terms of my input, I would say, because I think in the past I made the mistake of getting kind of fixated on like specific artists. But I think in order to make better music, it's better to actually listen to a bunch of different stuff. Um, but yeah, probably some key influences. I'll name a few like different bands that I think probably have more of an influence than others, just because I like them so much and listen to them so much, even if on the surface it doesn't sound like that. It's kind of in there somewhere. Like I think like Korn is one of those bands. I used to listen to Korn like a heck of a lot. Um, I think Sisters of Mercy, a big influence as well. Um, Yeah, just listening to last night, there's a band called Igor with three R's is really cool. Like that it's like metal mixed with classical music, mixed with breakcore, and it's just like it's crazy.
Sounds
So like
something
that's really
interesting,
inspiring.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I found that really inspiring in that it was like doing this like genre blending, but like in a way that like works. I think I like doing that kind of thing.
And tell us about your album Octopus, which is the most recent release on your
Yeah, yeah, it's my
Bandcamp.
first one. I've
Um,
only done one so far.
yeah, I only singles or EPs before, is it? And that was released in 2 years ago. And I presume you did an extensive tour with because
Right?
I mean, there was no problem, no barriers to that back in 20.
Oh,
No, hang on.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So was it sort of made as a lockdown kind of thing,
no,
or
it was
it
like
was already in progress,
it
but it
was
just
already in progress, and I'd already set the release date, like, because it'd been a lot of the songs had been in progress for so long. At one point, about a year before I did release it, I was basically just like, I need to set a deadline and get it done. Otherwise, I'm gonna be trying to perfect it forever and never release it. So that's basically what I did. So I did set the deadline of October 2020 to myself. Yeah, actually, like the day that I released it was like the 5 year anniversary of meeting my husband. So like, yeah, just put those
that's really
tied
nice and
together.
sweet. Oh,
Yeah.
oh. um,
And
uh, so why Octopus?
um
Is that because it's got
tracks
9
on the
tracks?
album. Yeah, well it's it's like part of it's named after the title track. But I don't know if you listen to the title track Octopus, but that one's kind of like an anthem for like polyamory and being like unashamed to like want to be with lots of men at the same time. So like the whole album actually is like kind of about like different aspects of like hedonism. And I just thought like the Octopus would be like a good album name because it's sort of
Its
I
tentacles
kind
are
of wanted
going
to evoke a
everywhere.
vibe of like a kind of many tentacles, like musical entity, like it's like a little bit weird, like kind of having different. Because I mean, with the octopus, like they kind of have their own brain in like each of the tentacles, so it's so like each song kind of has its like own brain, but they sort of like put together, like I don't know.
Yeah, I think that definitely works for it. And it, also you did a live stream with that. I think that was to like promote the album release,
Yeah,
was it?
I did do an outdoor show because it was released in October 2020. And I think about a week before I did that, they'd reduced the outdoor gathering limits from 50 to 25. So then I had to split it up into two. Actually, I did one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. Um, but there's this like statue thing called the Oculus that was kind of like down a path by a river. You sort of had to bike to it. And it's just like this from 1958, this kind of like space age big like donut thingy like on legs. It's supposed to be like a eye, like the inside of
Sounds
an
good.
eye. It's called the Oculus. It looks really weird. But anyway, I did the show and did that and like got some like battery powered amps and stuff and like some other bands played and yeah.
That sounds
That
pretty
was
cool.
like that I guess that was as good as an album release as you could hope for in a pandemic.
These dark girls, the body powers. Oh, wish
Mind is like a ticking clock. Killers, killers in the night. Killers, killers in the night.
I noticed you tend to perform quite a bit at open mic nights.
Yeah.
Over here we have the electronic music open mic scene, which obviously you'd fit right in with. And is there anything like that there? And maybe
I haven't
start
heard of
on
one specifically geared for electronic music, actually. I think most of them tend to be like kind of fairly open to like whatever, not too like
How's it been
specific.
going down with those then? When most open mic nights tend to be associated with like acoustic guitar a lot of the time. So
I
how
think
does
it does depend
doing
where you
electro
go. I found like the ones that I go to, they're usually pretty receptive to like me sticking on my backing track and kind of, especially if it's like a dark narrow room kind of a place, like they usually it usually works fine to like stick on my backing track and sing to it with some like trippy effects. There are some that like prefer you to be acoustic, but I guess I don't really go to those
Yeah.
ones. I think there are
choose
plenty of open
choose-
mics that are like high energy enough that like because I mean it's not there's a lot of like kind of like hip hop and rap and stuff like people will do to a backing track. It's not just like goth music.
Yeah, so obviously say we've got like a specific scene for it over here, and that I'd say
Mm.
probably is much more of a scene. But also I noticed in your live stream you were using head mic. Do you use that in live situations as well?
I usually use a handheld one, I would say, just because I find it a bit easier to like control the volume with that.
Can be a nightmare using the head mic. I know
Yeah,
the
it was
feedback I
just
often
like,
get from
what's it doing now?
yeah,
It's
and
going up.
the
it's
amount of
going
feedback
down.
I've often got when I've used one, especially with my
Yeah.
sort of movement, it
Yeah.
can be problematic. So you tend to just go for the more standard handheld mic style when performing live. So yeah, I think we've probably about covered anything. So one final thing. So why should people go to see you live on the 29th, 30th of October? 29th
30th.
is 30th. It isn't the 29th. That's when I arrive in Toronto.
Okay. Well, I think there's lots of reasons. One is it's Halloween Eve, so it's going to be the best thing
All
happening on
Hallows
Halloween
Eve.
Eve. Huh?
All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve, exactly. It's on All Hallows Eve. Secondly, you're going to be playing.
Which, you know, it's one night only.
Yes,
People get to
exactly.
experience Jandor Band live, so you know, definitely.
Yeah.
But
Thirdly,
it's about
I'm
why
going to be playing.
Spectral, which, you know, I mean, that's clearly going to be absolutely epic. So
Yeah,
so,
it's gonna be it's a stellar lineup that'll like never happen again, probably. So
yeah. I mean, we've got Cannibal
one not
Faye
to
Waking
miss.
Dream from New York coming along as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a unique evening, and hopefully we can stir up a few people to come and see us. Otherwise, it'll be a bit pointless, really. But anyway, we need to get that pushed
Yes.
fully over the
Yeah.
next month, because this is a completely bonkers thing that I'm doing for no good reason. But there you go. But I'm very excited to see you live because I do like your music very much, and it's just going to be exciting playing somewhere totally different. So yeah, thank you for spending a bit of time with me.
Yeah, of
And
course. Yeah.
it's
It's
been
good
lovely
to meet
to
you on
find out a little bit more about what you get up to. So
Oh,
yes.
great. Yeah, thanks for hosting this. And yeah, anybody watching, definitely come to the show. It's gonna be awesome.
It most definitely is. You need some insurrectionary futurism in your life, definitely.
Yes.
Right, anyway, thanks very much
Okay.
for joining me. I'm going to stop recording now, so that's it. Thank you.
Live among us, live in fear. They live among those we hold dear. They live among us, side by side. In day they live, in night they hide. From far away. information to be read.